You know when you have one of those crazy ideas? Like an idea so powerful it strikes you like a bolt of light. And you know it's gonna take you so much longer to fall asleep now that this idea has been planted in your head at 2 a.m. Well, this just happened to me. The idea, an ETF cheat sheet so amazing, it will give you the power to see every single Vanguard ETF categorized with every 5 and 10 year return, every expense ratio, all in one single sheet of paper. This is such a powerful idea because it's what I wish I had when I was just starting out, trying to pick an ETF from the thousands that are available on the stock market. Did you know that even with Vanguard, there are over 80 ETFs? It's completely daunting. So in an effort to save yourself from potentially days of research, banging your head against the wall, wanting to throw your computer out the window, what if I can create a single graphic that fits on one single piece of paper? An ETF cheat sheet that can act as your skeleton key to begin your search for the right Vanguard ETF. This all sounds amazing, right? But there is a problem. You see, that's me. And there's actually a good reason I'm fast asleep on the couch at 12 noon on a Saturday. You're probably thinking, it's because I got that crazy idea last night. I didn't get any sleep. But that's not actually the reason. The reason I'm here sleeping is because I just became a dad. And with this new incredible gift comes the less favorable side effect of no sleep. So this isn't gonna be easy. I have a full-time job. I'm tired all the time. I barely have time to brush my teeth on the weekend. But I know this idea is going to be so beneficial that I have to do it. I need to find the time, and I need to be as productive as possible with that time. So now I need to wake up. This is where I need to get those creative juices going. And I need to go fast. The kid is going to be waking up soon. But I'm just staring at the screen. Nothing's coming out. I don't even know where to start. I think what I need is something to enhance my senses. A little performance enhancer, if you will. And I've got just the thing. I've become addicted to something very specific. Not really the addiction you're probably thinking of. You see, I'm addicted to the Hawaiian Host sea salt, toffee, dark chocolate, macadamias. They are genuine, classic, original since 1927. Not sponsored, by the way. These chocolate balls of amazingness, can't stop eating them. And I'm really hoping this gives me the spark so I can deliver this ETF cheat sheet to you. I remembered. Back when I was lying in bed, I was inspired to include the man who started it all. This is John Bogle, and the mass adoption of modern-day index funds can be credited to him. So I knew that I wanted to include him in this infographic for you. So I started the design. I think this is the inspiration for the rest of the infographic. So I've been procrastinating. That last scene that you saw was about a month ago, quite a long time. And the reason is, it's taken me a while to figure out exactly what needs to go inside this infographic. And once I did figure it out, there's a lot. That's not gonna stop us from getting what we need. We're gonna do this, people. We're gonna do this. We're gonna get something that's gonna help all of us so much more. But yeah, it's a little hard. So here's the deal. So let's start with the asset class, stocks or bonds. Why does this really matter? Well, stocks do tend to have more risk than bonds do. If you want potential higher returns over a long period of time, then stocks might be for you. If you want potentially lower returns than the stocks, but still getting some return on your investment with less volatility, then bonds might be for you. Okay, so why include the investment style? So you might have a very aggressive investment style. Maybe you want really high growth stocks, or maybe you have more conservative investment style and you want more value stocks, more dividend type stocks. And also for bonds, you can have corporate bonds, you can have government bonds, you can have municipal bonds. So for returns, you know, they're probably pretty self-explanatory, but let's define this. Simply put, there are plenty of good Vanguard ETFs that are only 3 years old, maybe even 1-year-old. But these returns don't tell us enough. So we're only going with funds that have at least a 5-year return. They have to be at least 5 years old, basically. The next one we have market capitalization, or you could say market cap. This is important because some investors, they want to invest in larger companies maybe that have been around a long time, have a good track record, and some investors, they kind of like to invest in maybe smaller companies. Large companies, small companies, mid-sized companies, they all tend to do a bit differently depending on the economic climate. Specific criterias like sectors. These ETFs are more narrow. So for example, if you want to invest only in the tech sector, only in the healthcare sector, you can buy an ETF just for that. Next up, we have risk. And of course, it's pretty self-explanatory. Everyone wants to know the risk of the ETF that they're investing in, but Morningstar specifically is a company that does have good research that will give us some good indications on how risky an ETF is. So next up, we have expense. So these are Vanguard ETFs, of course, so they all have pretty low expense ratios, but still, it's good to know how much you're paying. So let me give an example. If you had an ETF that has a 0.10% expense ratio, you invest $10,000 into that ETF, you're gonna pay $10 every single year in expense. So now the last thing we're gonna have is yield. Yield is important to a lot of investors because some people, let's say you're retired, maybe you wanna live on the yield or the money that's coming out of your ETF. Some people also like to just reinvest the yield that comes out of their ETF into another ETF or the same ETF. So an example would be, let's say you invested $10,000 into an ETF and it yields 3% a year. Every year that ETF is gonna send you $300. So that's everything that's gonna go into this infographic. Next up, we need to go find all of these numbers and all of this data, and then we're gonna design the infographic. I'm gonna show you exactly what it looks like. When I finally found time to sit down and sift through to get this data, it actually went really well. But then things went downhill. I was able to use an ETF screener, get all 10 of those pieces of data that I mentioned, extract it into a spreadsheet, and everything looked good. I was happy. But when I tried to add it to the design, it was very apparent it was not going to work. There's way too much data. My hope of having John Bogle as the centerpiece, of having this graphic, the dimensions of a YouTube video, they're out the window. Frustration kicks in. As I'm spiraling, I open my phone. What's the date today? August 22nd? The last video I posted on my channel was February 6th. 6 months. How could I have let this happen? I am losing my mind. I need to get out. I need to get away. I need to think. So I drove to look out in the horizon to get perspective. It's a funny thing. Sometimes you just need to take a little bit of time away, remove yourself, and suddenly new ideas can quickly flow back into that mind of yours. I had a renewed sense of how to accomplish what I wanted to do. I went straight back, I sat down, and I did it. Exactly what I wanted to do for you watching at home, but I wanted to give to you, and I finally accomplished it. So, ladies and gentlemen, after more than 6 months of work, I finally, proudly, and happily present to you the Vanguard ETF cheat sheet. Two important things. One, I'm sure you want to know how to access this. Take a look in the description below for a link to my website where you can download it for free. And if you're still interested in learning, you know how this is an ETF, but there are also index funds? You might want to watch this video right here to learn more.